Hello and welcome to the Shop of Joy, the podcast that celebrates the heart and the soul of retail. Whether you're serving on the shop floor, you're leading a team, or simply someone who loves a brilliant customer moment, this space is for you. Each episode will explore how to turn your store into a joyful place for your customers, your colleagues, and just as importantly, for yourself. And today I'm thrilled to have the wonderful Neela Prabhu on the podcast, a homeopath, an ex-high street pharmacist, one of the top female entrepreneurs of 2023, and I'm told a mean kickboxer. Neela also has 2 IVF babies and has been on a PND journey. I've known Neela for a short while now, and whenever we catch up, we always got lots and lots of stories to share, and I always learn so much. So I'm fascinated to dig a bit deeper into homeopathy and the customer experience. So welcome, Neela.
Thank you, Sam. Really great to be here.
Fantastic to have you here. So firstly, my first question to you is, in a nutshell, what is homeopathy and why is it so important in this day and age?
Okay, so homeopathy is a holistic alternative medicine. It's a complete medicine system. It's been going for more than 200 years. But 98% of people in the UK don't know what it is, let alone what it can do. It's an energy medicine, so it's similar to Reiki or acupuncture. So it can be used on newborns, children, adults, the elderly, animals and plants. And it can be very safely used during pregnancy and breastfeeding as well.
Okay, amazing. And you say that homeopathy has been going for many years now. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions around homeopathy?
So one of the biggest ones is that it's all a placebo, that it doesn't work. It's tiny little sugar pills where we've super diluted a physical element. So we get our remedies from the 3 kingdoms, the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the plant kingdom. So, for example, we would get arnica is one of the ones, if you have heard of homeopathy, most people have heard of arnica. It's a remedy for shock and bruising, but it's one of thousands. So you would get an arnica flower, mush it up and super dilute it. So the scientists, quote unquote, will say, oh, you've super diluted it into a place where there's nothing left. Well, we've taken it from the physical realm into the energetic realm, okay? And anyone who's watched Frozen 2, as Olaf said, also has memory, they've got proven studies in India that prove it was nanotechnology, how we make our remedies in from the physical into the energetic. So the placebo effect is up to 25%. So it's not really to be sniffed at. And also the fact that homeopathy doesn't have any side effects, I'm like, I'd rather have that than something that does have side effects. And the other thing that blows that theory out of the water is that why does it work on newborn babies and on animals? If a horse has conjunctivitis, you can stand there with your sugar tablet and go, right, now listen, this is, for your conjunctivitis. The horse is going to go, oh, there's a bit of sugar there, and have the sugar and the eye clears up. So that is one of the main things that people say about homeopathy is, oh, there's no evidence. There's no, it's not evidence-based, it's not proven, etc., which is totally hogwash.
And you talk about the placebo effect. So if I was given a tablet, I was given a pill, do you always agree it's better to say what that is for? So, for instance, if I'm giving my daughter some flower remedies or herbal remedies or anything like that, is it better? Does that work well together with the knowing what it's for and then the actual the intention of giving her the medicine? If you see what I mean.
So 3 different questions you've asked me there. So herbal remedies and back flower remedies, of which I'm a level 2 practitioner, are physical remedies rather than homeopathy. So some herbs, for example, echinacea, which is great for immune support. Back flower remedies are for emotional support only, but again, both of those are physical. Okay. The homeopathy, I think the question you're asking in terms of, do I tell my clients I am giving you this for this particular reason? Partially. So if I'm treating someone for eczema, for example, they have come to me for eczema. They know that the remedies I'm giving them are going to be for that condition. Okay. However, the specifics of them, I don't tend to, as a rule, tell them until the second appointment, because in homeopathy, we work in pictures, much like caricatures. So we all know that Mickey Mouse is a mouse. He is not an anatomically correct mouse. Okay. So when I'm describing homeopathic remedies or pictures, I will describe that caricature, and we fit, a single well-chosen remedy will do more than me giving one remedy for eczema, one remedy for headaches, one remedy for insomnia. Okay, because it will vital force the energy of that person more than prescribing homeopathy in an allopathic way or conventional medicine way. So those pictures, when I describe them, when I tell the person afterwards, and they go, "Oh my God, that's so me. How did you know that?" And I said, "Yes, my preferred term is witch." Because when someone fits that remedy so well, that's when they can see. And then, but this has been a month after taking it, so they then had those positive effects. Or they'll come, "Well, it's a coincidence, but," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get a lot of coincidences." Okay. So this is where, and you're right, if they're taking conventional medicine or something else, you might say, "Oh, I don't know which one's working." And that can be tricky, absolutely, figure it out. But generally, we can figure it out.
Okay, understood. And what's the biggest things that homeopathy treats? What would you say it's most useful for treating, or that you treat the most?
That was hard. So I have two classes of patient who come to see me. So the first class is people who've been recommended to me, or they've used other, natural or alternative medicine before, and they would like to try homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
The second class is basically last chance saloon, which is Keith, which has tried everything else, tried homeopathy. And I have to say, those are the sweeter wins for me, because they literally are expecting nothing. They're like, "Well, I might as well give this a go." But in terms of conditions, I think people have a perception that homeopathy can only treat physical things. It can treat mental and emotional things as well. It's just harder when I'm writing a case study, obviously, or showing it on Instagram, but, happy face, sad face, before and after pictures are really powerful with skin, as you can imagine. So, if someone's suffering with, eczema or some other skin condition, and then showing the before and after, that's really powerful. But homeopathy really is a complete medical system. So, I've been using it myself and my family for the last 16 years. So, minor ailments, 20 minutes, half an hour, we're done, versus potentially a week or longer with conventional medicine. But it's where the chronic issues, that's my one-to-one work, is where my target is different to conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is aiming to palliate. It's putting a sticky plaster on a broken leg. It's firefighting. But what I'm aiming for is for that thing to be gone, and gone for good.
Okay.
So the target.
And with flu season coming up, we could say we are in flu season as well. I know a lot of people at the moment, coughs and colds and all sorts. What would you recommend as a homeopath to help us out?
So there's two things. I've got a winter wellness kit, which is available on my website. So I'll obviously put the link in the show notes. And that is for when you feel that tickle at the back of your throat or the back of your nose, and you think, "Oh God, I'm coming down with something." So that's got everything in there that you need to support your immune system at that time. Okay. And that's useful you can use it for children aged 1 upwards, pregnancy or breastfeeding, but everybody else can use it. Okay. The other side is it flu season, or is it the season of we're not getting enough sunshine and vitamin D? We are not living in line with nature, whereas nature is hibernating. We're going out there and partying. Is it the season, we've just had Halloween, or, All Hallows Eve, where it's the season of sugar and crap, basically. And then we're heading into the festive season, where we're then going to be going out and drinking and eating rich food and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, okay. So it is questioning, what are we actually doing, and what makes you, and this is one of the other big principles of homeopathy, is susceptibility. So susceptibility, my very crude way of explaining it, is that there are no flies around a clean bin. Okay, I'm not calling anybody a bin, but we are talking about germ versus terrain. And even Louis Pasteur on his deathbed said that it was all about the terrain. So what do I mean by this in a practical sense? Okay, if you're working in an open plan office, as a lot of people do now, and sue from accounts, apologies if anyone called Sue is listening, comes in and she's got a cough, a cold, the lurgy, sneezing, whatever it is. And then everyone's like, oh God. And, everyone in her nearest vicinity either catches it or it goes in the air conditioning system and someone catches it and says, oh God, she should have stayed at home. Well, there's always one or two people who don't get it and they never seem to be ill. There's always those group of people who are like always ill with something. And then you've got kind of a number of people who are like, occasionally they get ill, but that's fine. And then there's one or two people who never seem to get ill. They never seem to catch anything. And where our attention should be is, well, hang on a minute, what are they doing to make themselves, Teflon effectively? Okay. Having worked in the pharmacy for, 20 years, face to face with customers, people would come in and cough and sneeze all over me and say, have you got anything for that? Okay. So literally I was on, the front line here.
Yeah.
I did not have a cough or cold every week. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is where there is that, the boring layer, if you like, the foundation of how do we make ourselves less susceptible to being ill, whilst also acknowledging us never being ill is not a reality. It's not real. Okay. What people want is to be ill for a shorter amount of time and to be moved through that more efficiently, and few and far between those times. And the other thing is, if you don't pick a rest day, your body will pick one for you and it will not be convenient. Okay? Yeah. So this is where people are not looking after themselves in the right way. And the boring principles, it's not rocket science. Get enough good quality sleep, drink enough water, have lots of fruits and vegetables, do some mindfulness, yoga, meditation, go for a walk in nature, spend time in nature. Spend time with the people that you love, laughing, joking, have a sense of community, all of the things they perhaps didn't tell us in the media over the last 5 years. So none of these things are rocket science, but all of these things are what our body needs and craves. And sometimes we don't listen to our bodies when they're telling us these things. And one of my favorite phrases is, if you listen to your body when it whispers, you won't have to hear it scream.
Wow. How many is too many colds and flus in the space of a winter season, right? Because I know people, like you say, Neela, I know people that seem to every couple of weeks to have a cold. Is this normal? Is this too many? Like how do you know? Because you say that we should be expecting to get ill, and you hear all of these conflicting information. I think obviously with the rise of the internet and Dr. Google, and you're looking things up and you say, you know what, it's good to be ill because it helps your immunity, but and all of this stuff, which I absolutely get. But if you're getting a lot of colds and flus over winter, is there a realistic amount that you're like, if you're getting this many a year, then too many, you need to sort yourself out. You need to take more vitamins, go for longer walks. You need to take a step back and really, really look after yourself.
So children, their immune system still developing. Okay. So if you have young children, I mean, sort of, either sort of infants or preschool, or even sort of, the early part of primary school. Absolutely. Okay. This is the thing of, they'll go to school. And I was told this with my two children as well. My two children didn't though, which is really interesting. Okay. So it is how to help them through when they are suffering. Okay. Homeopathy is individualized. So if someone suffers a couple of colds in a month, or even over a space of 2 months, for them, they might go, oh God, that's way too much. Whereas someone else might be having a fever every 2 weeks or cold every 2 weeks. And yeah, that's normal for me. So it's at what point does that person go, oh, hang on a minute, this is becoming a bigger issue. And they actually put their hand up and say, yeah, I'm acknowledging this is a problem now. It also comes back to our ancestors and our heritage. And again, we're back to susceptibility. Okay. So my parents were born in India. So were my husband's parents. Myself and my husband were born here. So we have what's called a tubercular miasms. There's 5 miasms in homeopathy. It's to do with our ancestors. So the tubercular miasm is all to do with the lung energy. So the opening to the lung energy in Chinese medicine is the nose and the throat. So we are more susceptible to allergies. We're more susceptible to the gene that is hay fever, eczema, and asthma, which is a dominant gene. We don't handle dairy so well. So, for example, my husband has to have, non-cow's milk dairy, otherwise it goes straight through him. Okay. It's things like that. But that is the hand of cards that you've been dealt. Okay. So if you're a good poker player, you can win a hand of, a game of poker with a pair of eights. And the bit that makes the difference is homeopathy. So I'll give a real life example of this, not to do with the coughs and colds. Yeah, I have got examples of coughs and colds as well. So I've never suffered with hay fever, eczema, or asthma, so I don't have that gene. My husband does. He walks from one end of the garden to the other and honks like a goose, and I have to listen to him blowing like a trumpet. And I'm like, oh, I can treat that. Can you stop now? No, I'm fine. And he takes antihistamines. I'm like, right, when you crack on, you're the one who's suffering. Our children obviously have that gene because it's a dominant gene. Neither of them suffer with hay fever. Okay. So both of them have suffered with eczema, which has been treated. And my husband does suffer occasionally from sort of dry skin / eczema. Yeah. So to me, you can change. It's not set in stone. Okay. It's not like, oh, you've got black hair, therefore you've got to have black hair for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So when it comes to coughs and colds, there was a client of mine he was 5 at the time. Every time he would get cold, for example, it would go straight to his chest, and he would say, "Mummy, someone's strangling me." He would be, at night time, he would be struggling to breathe. It's obviously very scary. So get blue lighted into hospital. The whole family was disrupted. They give him, salbutamol, oxygen, whatever he needed, send him off home. But this would happen every time he got cold. Okay. So at age 5, this was fairly frequent. And it was, even if it was not, that's still to be frequent to be doing all that. And nobody got any sleep and all of this. And the mum was getting very frustrated that he got diagnosed as a viral wheeze, which frankly is doctor speak, but we have no idea what this is. She approached me and I said, okay, let's have a look at this case. So we've now got him down to, he has a cue. So if he goes outside and is football mad, he'll go outside in the garden, play with his dad football, and it's a cold, dry wind is what normally happens. He'll then come indoors and have this hiccuping, and he'll just keep hiccuping. And his mum's like, right, we know what to do. Give him one remedy and it stops all of that from happening. But the reason we got him to that point is the one-to-one work that I did. So mum she's got a daughter and she's got the son who's the younger child. Prior to conceiving him, she'd suffered a miscarriage. Okay. Now, this is the grief. This is where we can see the lung energy. So in Chinese medicine, the skin, the lungs, and the bowels are different sides of the same triangle in emotional grief, which we use in the English language to mean that someone has died. But not necessarily. It could be a shock, a trauma, a disappointment. I've missed out on that relationship. I've missed out on that job, etc. Okay? Grief that needed to be cleared from his system, okay, with assigning no blame to anybody.
Yeah.
As soon as we did that, he now just needs a couple of tablets of aconite. He's done. They've never been back to hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're saying how many colds is acceptable, it's up to that person. So looking deeper and going, okay, is it because you're stressed at work? Okay, let's dig deeper into that. Are you enjoying your work, or are you not? Or and it's the 5 whys, isn't it? Of asking, well, why is this happening? Are you eating mucus forming food, which is dairy, basically? Does that mean that you're susceptible? Okay, so it's looking at the problem from lots of different angles rather than just going, oh, well, it's cold. And don't get me wrong, I have had colds. I'm not, either. And yes, I'm a bright baby when I'm like, oh, I'm miserable, I've got a cold. Does that help?
No, that makes a lot of sense. So in terms of so it's not necessarily your there's an amount of coughs and it's you understanding your own body and your own feelings, and what, I'm having more than I would usually have at this time, but we're all susceptible in our own way to our own amount of coughs based on our lineage, essentially, and
I think there's this expectation of, again, there's a certain hot lemon drink that tells us to power through, which in some cases it's needed, that yes, you've got an important work presentation or you've got to do something for your children when you're coming down with something. I feel that it sets this expectation of we should never be ill. And that's completely unrealistic, because we all at some point in our lives will be ill, and that's yes, it's annoying and frustrating at the time, but it's there for a reason. Our body is saying, and actually children are really good at this. If there's something wrong, they will crash out. They will not eat if they're having, sort of a stomach bug. They will go to sleep. They will really listen to their bodies. It's adults. We're a bit crap at listening to our bodies, and kind of, we just, oh yeah, it's fine. I'll do that later, and we carry on. And then at some point, the body just pulls the plug and goes, no, we're not.
So ultimately, the powering through and the kind of the 2025 thinking behind, you know what? Like, I'll just I'll just crack on. I'll just burn the candle at both ends, and it'll be fine. I won't let this beat me. That's an absolute myth. We should just be, when we feel unwell, we should just rest. Is that correct?
And actually, you will recover quicker as well, because you're in that body to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And, this is another example is, how many people have been working on a really hard work project and like, it's okay, I'm going on holiday next week or in 2 weeks and I can rest then. Then you get to your holiday and you're then ill. You go, bloody hell, that's not fair. And the reason is that your body has dumped zinc. Okay. When we're stressed, our body dumps zinc. Okay. So zinc is a vital component for our immune system to function correctly. So you then go on holiday and your body's like, oh, thank God, we can rest now. And it's like, right, now we can be ill because you've stopped. Zinc and histamine are also on a seesaw. So if one is up, the other is down.
Okay. And you talk about rest, and you talk about when you go on holiday, you can rest. When I was when we were about to be parents, I got a lot of comments from friends saying, bank your sleep now. Make sure you get all that sleep now, which was an absolute myth, right? You can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't bank sleep a year in advance. Right. But how important is sleep for things like this, for making sure that your health is tip top?
So yeah, there's a book that I read recently by a professor, and it's called Why We Sleep. Now, he spent 20 years studying this. Okay. And in his book, he says that sleep is vital for our immunity. It's vital for our decision making, for keeping us, maintaining a healthy weight, whatever that looks like, giving us enough energy, making us more attractive. It's when you look across the board, and a lot of people talk about, that upstream lever. What is the one thing that you would recommend lever out of? If you've got sleep, diet, exercise, and I always say sleep. Because good quality sleep, as you say, you talk to any parent of a newborn who's, I'm sorry, my achievement is I brushed my teeth today, this sort of thing. Or anyone who has suffered insomnia, or even anyone who's just had, a stressful week and they haven't, been tossing and turning and haven't been able to sleep, or menopausal ladies who are, for whatever reason, not sleeping, whether it's insomnia, night sweats, whatever. How do you feel in the morning?
Oh, awful. I mean, I was up at 4:00 last night because my toddler had a bad dream. Well, not toddler, she's 5. Still think of her as a toddler, but my little one had a bad dream. So I've been up since 4 a.m. And you can tell when you feel a little bit behind the pace. It's like you're a little bit off. What is that in your body that's making you feel a little bit off, like a little bit behind the pace?
It's explained in this book. It's evolution. So if you haven't slept, your forgive me, I haven't memorized the names of the hormones, but basically when you wake up, your body is feeling as if it's in a stress zone. Okay. So you are craving unhealthy foods, you're craving sugar, you're craving salt, okay, you're craving perhaps the caffeine to kind of get yourself going, because our satiety hormones have been turned down and the sugar craving ones are basically being turned up. Okay? Yeah. So this is why, and also your decision-making skills, I believe it's the amygdala, but I could be wrong, it's the front part. They are not as sharp as they should be, because you're acting on, the decisions you make will be very rash and quick. They're not slow and considered. all of that. So those are the reasons. There are physical and chemical reasons as to why you feel like that. The other thing I want to quickly mention is that tomorrow is a super full moon. Okay. So the moon does affect us. Okay. And bang on about the moon, I've got a moon tattoo here on me because we are up to 70% water. Okay. The moon controls our tides, massive bodies of water like the Pacific and, Atlantic Ocean. How can it not affect us? You ask any teacher or Metropolitan Police or prison warders what happens at full moon. These things go a little crazy, okay? Because the word lunatic comes from the word lunar, okay? It does affect us. So quite often when I come on and say these things on my Instagram or whatever, and I was like, I'm really tired this week because there's a new moon coming. So the new moon makes us, we draw inwards and it's all about feeling, more tired. I'll have at least 3 women message me and go, oh my God, is that what it is? I thought it was me. And so it's looking at, again, the bigger picture. There's other elements to, oh, it must have been me. That's why I've had a bad night's sleep. Or it must have been my child. Obviously, if you're being woken up by a child, that's different. But it's then, oh, was she having a bad dream because there was, a full moon?
Yeah, fascinating.
Further than, oh, it must be something I've done. And the other quick thing while we're talking about sleep, the half-life caffeine is 8 hours. So what does that mean? That morning cup of tea that I had a bit early, that 8 o'clock this morning, by 4 p.m. today, 50% of it is still in my system.
Wow.
You add another 8 hours, okay, so we get up to midnight, there's 25% left.
So when's the last time really, if you want a good night's sleep, you want to go to bed at, let's say you're going to bed at 10 p.m. 12.
So you're asking me, but bear in mind that people have different affinities with caffeine, and also women in the second half of their cycle need more caffeine and more alcohol to get their hits in the second half of their cycle. So that makes a difference too. And I found out about in this book, it blew my mind. Decaf is not the same as no cap. Okay, decaf, depending on the method they use, is up to 10% caffeine. So you might be having, oh, I'm going out for dinner and I'll have a decaf coffee. Still got caffeine in there. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
You know what? That's fascinating because, sorry to cut you off, Neela, but I was I had a decaf coffee only yesterday. I was in Costa and I had a decaf coffee, and I always check, and because I have a coffee in the morning. I'll wake up in the morning. I have a big glass of water, and then I've heard that it's not good to have a coffee straight away. Wait at least half an hour because your body's got to do its thing to naturally wake you up, and coffee's not going to have any effect after the first half an hour. So I've heard that. So I do that. I'll have a coffee about half an hour after waking up, and before I do some exercise, and then I have a coffee like a little treat afterwards. But then if I'm going to have another coffee, sort of towards lunchtime, I always have a decaf. I still, for some reason, always gives you a little bit of a buzz, a little bit. You can tell if you've had too much. So it's still got caffeine in it, 10% caffeine. That's fascinating.
And the other thing is green tea and chocolate also have caffeine in.
Wow.
So you're right what you said about the first thing in the morning. It's better to have coffee, have your breakfast first. Don't have it on an empty stomach, basically. Mm-hmm. Again, it is affecting hormones. And caffeine, in terms of a molecule, is very similar to a thiazide diuretic. So what do I mean by that? A thiazide diuretic is benfluoreside or furosemide, which is the diuretics they give you if they want to try and decrease your blood pressure. Yes.
Wow, okay.
So that means going for a wee.
Yeah.
So that is the other reason that you may not want to have it closer to night time, because you want to be up all night going for a wee.
Very true. Very, very true. Wow.
I'm very clear when I say to someone that I want a herbal tea and they say, oh, I've got, Earl Grey or I've got green tea. I'm like, no, those have got caffeine in.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you recommend drinking then before bed? So
any herbal tea. So when I give out my prescriptions to my clients, they'll get a little herbal tea bag each time because I feel that's a nice thing.
Nice.
And I've had little videos of them sort of sending me a picture going, oh, and so one of the ladies said, she goes, oh, whenever I get your tea bag, it gives me permission I feel like it gives me permission to sit down and have a cup of tea and just 5 minutes to myself. And I was like, oh my God, that's so lovely. So
Beautiful.
it's either a pucker organic or there's a local Bayou tea that I give out.
Okay.
Amit from Bayou tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have a herbal range. So yeah, any and there's lots out there. I think Pucker even have an advent calendar, which is kind of cool. So it's
Yeah, that's nice. A tea a day.
I quite like that. So the only thing I would say is that the base of Pucker tea bags is licorice, which is an agreement stimulant. So not keen, but it is. Yeah, it's there. So
good to know. No, really good to know. And you talked about giving things out. That brings my mind to I got a goodie bag from an event, and it had your card on it, and it had a hangover cure in there as well. So as we're coming into the festive season, you got the coughs and colds, and also you've got the self-inflicted, which is the hangover. Yeah. So this is the final thing I want to talk to you about. Homeopathy is, what's the best cure for a hangover, apart from not actually getting that hangover in the first place?
Yeah. So I always get asked this, that, it's not drinking. I said, well, I do drink, and yes, it does work. So I have, it's Nux Vom is the homeopathic remedy's name, but it is what I call my Christmas remedy. It's for any overindulgence. So it's not necessarily alcohol. We're eating too much rich food, or,
oh, wow.
Rich desserts, or too much turkey, or, whatever it is. And you just feel really bloated and heavy and full. I really shouldn't have eaten that. And then, do you want a cheese board? Oh, yes, please. There's something you're into, like, cheese board or whatever. It's really good for that. It's also really good for heartburn.
Okay.
Well, some people experience heartburn where you've got that burning in sort of center of your chest. And even, for pregnant ladies, if they are suffering with heartburn, because obviously as the fetus is getting bigger and it's pressing on the top part of your stomach sphincter, that can, and it's horrible. It's really painful.
Yeah.
It can feel like something sort of punched you in the chest. So Nux One was really good for that. But I also have a Christmas survival pack as well. So this has got the hangover cure in there, but it's also got some mental health stuff in there, because Christmas is a very busy time and it can be very stressful, because there's lots of elements. There's, all the adverts making you think, John Lewis has released their Christmas advert or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Making you think that it's, all happy families and soft glowing light, when actually you might have an elderly relative that you need to go and take care of, and you might have to invite them for Christmas Day, and you're like, actually, I really don't want to be with you for Christmas Day. Or you have, the great aunt Tracy or whatever, and I don't really want to see her, or they will say something awkward, or, it isn't always all happy families. And it's also children. It's then like, right, we've got to donate something for the Christmas fair, we've got to bake something, we've got to, you've got work deadlines, you've got Christmas dues, and it's just like, you might end up getting to Christmas holidays if you have a break and just go, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And I don't want that for people. What I want to give them is practical tips and tools to say, okay, this is how we manage this season. Put your own boundaries in. This is how you manage it without being, a nice person about it.
Yeah, no. So Nux Vom, you say that's the best. And how is it taken? What's the
sugar tablets? If you remember, before your head hits the pillow, then you can suck a couple.
Okay.
Some sugar tablets, you either suck them or you can put them in water. It's a liver remedy, so it's helping your liver to do one of its functions, which is to detox things. Our liver, which we don't take enough care of, has 500 functions that it does for us every single day, let alone detox alcohol. We tend to think of it as only doing that. No, it breaks down red blood cells, it gets rid of excess estrogen, progesterone, other hormones, doing a lot for us. So taking care of it is always a good thing. But yeah, Nux One is a liver remedy, so it helps the liver to do what it's doing.
And is it something that you should only take after you've been drinking, or could you take it prior to having a big night out? And does it help with that? No, okay, fine. So
prevention is always better than cure. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to take Nux One before, I wouldn't say that it would prevent it. When I went out recently for dinner with my gym friends, one of my friends was having a a Peroni, and then the next one was a zero Peroni, and then a normal Peroni. So I could tell that was his way of regulating the level of
Yeah.
he was having. I thought actually that's really clever because he then doesn't feel like he's missing out. And bear in mind that even the 0% alcohol is not zero. They call them zero, but when you look, it's 0.01 or whatever is allowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I know I would have one cocktail and then that's it. I might have tonic water afterwards. I might have just tap water. It's also cheaper. I mean, it's pretty expensive to drink outside the house,
especially these days. Yeah.
And I get it. The retailers are, trying to make up, the money and all that, but it's expensive. So
yeah, no, that's it. For a pint, you don't get much change out of £10 anymore, do you really? So yeah, like you say, it helps the bank balance over Christmas, and also helps with the hangover. So, and then Nux Vom for afterwards. Neela, I could talk to you forever about homeopathy. Honestly, I find it absolutely fascinating. But I also do want to pick your brains on the customer experience, because some of the conversations that we've had before around your time as a high street pharmacist are brilliant. And I know you work for somebody who was incredible at the customer experience as well. So take us back to the time in the pharmacy and what you learned about customer experience there.
Yeah, and I think my experience was quite unique. So I worked in a pharmacy in South Norwood, and the owner was a Jewish guy, and he's still working today. I mean, he is an icon. I think he's 86 or something. He's cracking on.
Wow.
Yeah, he's really, really big. And because he only owned that one shop, he didn't have a chain. So our ethos that he taught us was, bend over backwards for every single customer, because that's how he built his business. Okay. And when I say he built his business, he's got, 3 generations of people coming in and asking to speak to him because they trust him. Okay. But he's built that because he bent over backwards for his customers. So if there was a problem, if there was, needed to be delivered or, whatever it was, he would always go that extra mile. The lady who came in who she'd ordered her, formula milk. It was a specialist formula milk for her baby. There happened to be a bank holiday in between. And realised, obviously, that would impact the timing of when she ordered it. So she came in and she was obviously very distressed, going, well, I've run out. What, bleep, do I feed my baby? So I phoned the boss. He wasn't there, but he said, right, get one of the staff to get in a taxi and go to Romford, which is where the depot was, where the item was, bearing in mind that we're sort of here in South London to go to Romford. And this was in the evening. We phoned them and said, look, we need to come and get this item now. Put this staff member in a taxi, went and got the milk, brought it back, had it delivered to her so that she could then have something to feed her baby.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is the level that he would go to. There was another lady who, this was an older lady, and I never met her, but and she then soon after, I was there for 6, almost 20 years in the pharmacy. She was a very much older lady. She was blind and she couldn't hear very well, but she would phone, and we were more like a hospital dispensary. We had 3 or 4 pharmacists at the same time. We had at least 10 dispensers. We were busy. Okay, we were a busy pharmacy, still are. She would phone and say, where is he? I want my eggs. I want my eggs and I want my chips, like this. So she wasn't asking for medication. She wanted my boss to go there, and we would say, he's really busy. He can't come right now. And she wasn't having any of it. She was, proper, like, going for it. He would go, he would buy a big bag of Reese chips from the chippy, take them to her so that, that they would share that and they'd have conversation. And then she said, well, I want you to make me an egg. So she would make her a boiled egg, peel it for her because she was blind. She couldn't see. It was the sweetest thing.
Wow.
We actually got special recognition award as part of, professionally, but also this story was retold at that award ceremony, because the judges were like, this is just like, who would do this? But if someone, if a customer passed away, we would send them, a sympathy card, things like that, where, and we would remember people's names, or because you're seeing them day in, day out, you would ask them about their family, or, what happened with this, or, it's all of that. It's making it personal. And as I said to you, it's realizing that when people come in and they're very angry, generally, or upset, it's because they are either in pain or someone they know and love is in pain, and they're not, or they've been through the gambit of, as I call it, the system of conventional medicine, which is, you try and get a doctor's appointment for something that you feel is quite urgent, but you've got to wait a week. Then you get to the doctors and the clinic is running late, again, maybe not the doctor's fault. You then get the supposed, prescription, you go to the pharmacy, they say, oh, there's a wait, or, oh, we need to order this, it'll be here this afternoon. And something pops, they just suddenly go, I've had enough. And they have a bit of a shout and a rant and a whatever. So yeah, it's that. Yeah.
What do you think retail as a whole could learn from the pharmacy? Because yes, it's retail, but it's very different to say clothing retail, or say furniture retail, or anything like that. Is there anything that if when you go out and you walk along the high street and you go into these retailers and you think, you know what, if they took this lesson from the pharmacy, this is what I'd want to distill in them?
Yeah, I think it is playing the long game. It is, genuinely asking those questions of that customer if they're a regular customer, and also remembering that everyone is going through something. Pain is a great leveler. It doesn't matter who you are. You're in pain. You're in pain.
Yeah.
So it is just that little moment of kindness, or asking, or genuinely, as you say, making a fuss if they've got a child with them, or even if they haven't, or, oh, that top looks really good, I love that colouring on you. It doesn't take a second to say that, but that customer's going to remember that.
Yeah.
I think it have to be a physical, something that costs you money or value. You're like, oh God, so how much is this going to cost me for this customer experience? Just being human and being kind. That person has chosen to come physically into the shop rather than shopping online. How do you then go, well, actually, I'm really pleased that you've come in physically. So what have they come in for? Human contact. That's what they've come in for. We had several pensioners who would come in once a week to purchase a very small box of soap powder or whatever it was. And it wasn't, okay, yes, they couldn't carry the big heavy, that was also their reason. But they would come in to have a chat. That was their daily, right, on a Monday, I'm going to go to the pharmacy, I'm going to have a chat with the ladies there. And on Tuesday, I'm going to go, get my hair done. And on Wednesday, I'm going to go to the, that's their, human contact. These people on the phone, they don't see anyone else for the rest of the day. So make that interaction as human as you can, because that's what we're all craving, is interaction.
So true. So true. And I think when we've spoken before, you've mentioned about how you had generations shopping with you. Can you just talk to the importance of that in terms of word of mouth?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we were a very busy pharmacy. Don't think there was a household in South Norwood that we didn't serve, basically. But you would have, the mum, the daughter, the granddaughter come in, and they would only want to speak to, my boss. They knew him by name. Okay. And that was built over each interaction that he had with them, or every time they came in. And not only that, the other part is when you trust someone, especially when it's your health, you don't want to go to someone else. Or if they did go to another pharmacy, they wouldn't get that same service. And, every December, by about, the second week of December, we were sick of biscuits, but it showed how much our customers valued us. Was, most of the every, day, the sideboard where we'd have our tea would be full of boxes of biscuits and chocolates and whatever it was that people, thank you so much for what you've done for us this year. I don't know any other pharmacy that I've worked in where that.
No.
Occasionally get a box, or we would buy a box, but I'm talking a big pile. You know, they'd obviously gone to Tesco or M&S and bought a little Christmas selection of this is on there. They would like this, you know. Yeah.
And I think it's you really play into the concept of customers. They're not buying a product; they're buying a solution to their problems or a desirable feeling, and they're coming in to get a true deep emotional need met. So they're not just picking something off the shelf and making a purchase for it. There's an emotional need there somewhere, and if you can meet that emotional need, and especially in medicine, I think that it really, obviously, by your examples, can strike a really deep chord that lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts, and then passes down through generations. It's
absolutely, and you know, even you know, I can remember a lady coming in with a prescription for the contraceptive pill. It was the prescription, progesterone only, rather than the combined pill. And she seemed a little bit upset, or she looked like she'd been crying. And I said, are you okay? And I said, you haven't had this pill before. And I was talking to her, and she suddenly burst into tears. And I said, right, come in the consultation with me. We sat down and I explained to her, and I said, what's happened? What's wrong? So she explained to me, and there's a bigger picture. This is the thing. She'd been changed from one contraceptive pill to the other because she gained weight. And so there were risks associated with, plotting. So that's why her doctor had changed it. Her doctor had not been particularly tactful about the fact that she'd gained some weight. She just said, oh, well, it's because you're fat, we're needing to change you, which is, okay, not very tactful or very nice. And I said to the girl, okay, so what's happened? Why have you gained weight, or something changed or something gone wrong? And she said, well, she works in an office. She's trying to give up smoking. Okay. So instead of going out and having a cigarette with the other girls, she would stay at her desk so that she's not tempted to have one. So she was, trying to give up smoking. And well known that when you're giving up smoking, your appetite increases and the hand-to-mouth association is very strong. This is why a lot of people will turn to food and they tend to put weight on, etc., etc. But it kind of balances out give up smoking. Nobody had told her this. So she was sat there she said, I was treating myself with a chocolate bar instead of going out and having a cigarette. I was like, okay, that makes sense. So allowing her to explain that to me, and me saying, I'm really sorry that the doctor spoke to you like that. And, maybe when you're feeling a bit strong, you might want to say something. I said, but you're doing a great thing by giving up smoking. And I get that it's hard and all of that. That's all she needed, So, yeah.
You're meeting the emotional need, not just the physical needs. Yeah. Wow. No, that's absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Neela. I think that before we wrap up, because this podcast is called The Shop of Joy, I want to know a little bit about you, right? And specifically, what brings you the most joy in your life?
Oh, the most joy. That's hard. Okay, there's lots of things that give me joy. My children, number one, absolutely. Especially my younger one, who nobody can make me laugh like her. She's an absolute nutter, as I've said to you. Me going to the gym, using my body for that. I am a gym bunny. I love it. The kickboxing, the pump, the spin, all of that. Food. I'm there. I am a foodie. Absolutely love food. And I think it's also for me, I've been doing restarted my gratitude diary for about almost 200 days now. I'm writing 10 things every day that I'm grateful for. That has really shown me the power of those small little moments of joy. They're called glimmers nowadays, aren't they? But even if it's, do you know what? I had a really good cup of tea, or I've had, fresh bed sheets, or I've had a good night's sleep, I've had a really nice warm shower. All of those things bring me joy. And because our brain's a negative bias, we almost have to look more for that joy and hold on to it. Because it's never, yes, it's nice to have the big things, but these small things are so accessible, and most of them are free. So yeah, there's a lot in my life that gives me joy. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Neela. Is there anything else that you wanna leave us with? Anything else you've got going on at the moment? Anything else that you wanna say before we wrap up?
Yeah. So I am launching my own podcast. So I'm very excited and also petrified of doing this, but I'm doing it anyway. So that will be launching on the 11th of November, so 11/11.
Incredible.
And it is called Homeopath in Your Pocket. So
This is an exclusive as well.
It is. So natural solutions for busy working mums. So whatever the condition, I want to give you practical tips, actionable tips that you can do right here, right now. And if you wanted to add homeopathy into that mix, then you can, because again, getting yourself, here's one I made earlier, just in case you asked about it. This is my famous blue kit. So it's a homeopathic first aid kit. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you the number of times that it's saved me, even up to last night when my youngest did not drink enough water and obviously was in pain because of that. 20 minutes with the right remedy, no pain, we're finished. She's off to school today, and that's what I want to offer people. So, wow. Yeah, it's gonna be on all the usual places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Really short, 20 minutes long, great for a dog walk or a school run, and you can get that information. So, yeah.
Hey, well, it's going to be so beneficial to so many people. Like you say, short 20 minutes episodes that I can imagine people been able to reference back to it like their the homeopathic Bible, right? So there's a specific ailment that they have or their child has, and they can scroll back to episode 5. Okay, this one's about coughs and colds, and I think that being able to distill what all of the knowledge that you have, the vast knowledge that you have, and I think we just scratched the surface, and it's absolutely fascinating. But to be able to distill that over bite-sized chunks is going to be fantastic. So I really look forward to listening to the first few episodes. And remind us, Neela, when does that come out?
So that's out. It launches on the 11th.
Launch it on the 11th of November. So not long at all before it comes out. And then finally, what is in your blue kit? Just tell us what's in your blue kit.
So there are 18 remedies in here. You've got a little booklet here, and if you buy it from me, there's also a free guide on my website. So this covers 80% of what we go to the pharmacy for. Okay. I also have an extra kit that goes with this, which then takes it up to 90%. So it's all of the things you go to the pharmacy for that you wouldn't want to bother the doctor. So coughs, colds, headaches, teething, conjunctivitis, sore throat, fever, all of those kind of things where you're ulcers, all that you kind of think, well, I don't really want to bother the doctor. I've bashed my finger in a car door, got a loose tooth, I've got toothache, all those kind of things are in there. And not only that, they are quicker. As I said, my youngest had cystitis yesterday, her own downfall because she didn't drink enough water. And I'm like, really? She's 11. Rather than me dosing up with Calpol, then trying to get a doctor's appointment, then getting her the prescription, waiting for the antibiotics to kick in, which takes 48 hours, and still giving her pain relief, versus 20 minutes with something that's in my house and we're done. Which one would you pick?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's what I want to give people.
Okay, brilliant stuff. And where can people find you, Neela?
So I'm very active on Instagram, so at Homeopathic Harmony. Mm-hmm. My website is homeopathic.harmony.co.uk, and my podcast is Homeopath in Your Pocket.
Neela, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for talking to me on the Shop of Joy podcast, and look forward to speaking again very, very soon.